Hi everybody, I hope you're well. Today I have got another story for us to read together. This story is called The Squirrels Who Squabbled. Here are our squirrels here. They have got some grumpy faces, don't they? Our story today is written by Rachel Bright, and our illustrator who's drawn these pictures is Jim Field. Today I want, before we start our story, to have a think about what our story might be about. So there are some clues that we can use when we're trying to predict, which is a fancy way of saying guess, predict what the story is about. So we can start off by using the title, The Squirrels Who Squabbled. There are some clues in that. I think it might be about squirrels, and they might be fighting. I think these squirrels might be squabbling together. We can also use the picture on the front. So our picture have got two very unhappy squirrels. And the last clue that we can use to help us find out is the blurb on the back of our story. So the blurb on the back here gives us a wee bit of a clue about what might happen in the story. So let's read it together. Greedy squirrels Cyril and Bruce both have their sights on a very special prize, the last pine nuts of the season. Uh-oh, the race is on. I think then that means that they might be racing to get the last pine nuts of the season before they have to go into hibernation. Because in the wintertime, squirrels hibernate, which means that they hunker down and they have a great big long sleep. And they don't come out and about as much. They like to stay hidden away because it's so cold outside. Let's see if we're right then. In a towering forest where summer had been, the cool air bit fresh, and the mosses grew green. And as autumn edged in and the sky raged red, the sleepiest creatures got ready for bed. While up in a tree swung a flighty young squirrel, who everyone knew as spontaneous Cyril. Look, it's happy Cyril there. Now, most foresty folk had seen to their needs through the plentiful months of mushrooms and seeds. They'd built up their stores and they'd all been well fed through the frosting of winter that glittered ahead. But Cyril, he lived in the now and the here. He'd adventured and partied his way through the year. Silly Cyril, he's not been collecting his food like the other animals in the forest. So his cupboard was empty, his hollow was bare. He hadn't a mouthful of food anywhere. Oh dear, look, he's got nothing in his cupboard to keep him through the winter time like the other animals. But wait, what was that? Over there, take a look. A single lone pine cone wedged in a nook. He squealed with delight, and for very good reason. For inside were the very last nuts of the season. Oh, look, here it is here. Can you see it? That's made him feel a lot happier. But Cyril wasn't alone. There are more hungry eyes. Yes, plan ahead Bruce had his sights on the prize. Oh no, I think that means that there are two squirrels after this one pine cone. Though he'd gathered a mountain of bounty, hard fought, Bruce was convinced he was one pine cone short. I simply must have it, he wistfully cried, as he dreamt of the fresh juicy pine nuts inside. My goodness me, look at Bruce's stockpile. He's got lots and lots of things, hasn't he? He thinks he needs one more though. So as Cyril set off on his way to the ground, Bruce, he was also last pine cone bound. They sprinted and scurried with no time to gamble. They scratched at the bark and their scampering scramble. Look, they're running up to the top of the tree. But their panic and haste shook the tips of the spruce and the pine cone. It trembled and then it came loose. Oh dearie me. Both squirrels gave chase at lightning pace. This was the start of a wild, nutty race. "It's mine," shouted Cyril. "No, mine," hollered Bruce. "You don't stand a chance. Give up, it's no use." "I'm hungry," cried Cyril. "This cone is not yours." "Stay back," shouted Bruce. "This cone's for my stores." Oh my goodness. It boinged over bushes and it flew through the air. It binged on the nose of a slumbering bear. It bounced over boulders and it came to a stop. Then teetered and wobbled and quivered. What do you think's going to happen? Plop! Both squirrels followed. Oh, the water was fast. Would they learn that they needed each other at last? But each was intent on how he could win, so they didn't quite notice a bird sweeping in. Oh dear, they should have been paying attention and working together as friends. Cyril and Bruce, they watched in dismay as their cone disappeared up and away. "Come back," shouted Cyril. "There are nuts," exclaimed Bruce. But all hope was gone. It was simply no use. And meanwhile they drifted right up to the ledge. Greed, it was driving them over the edge. Oh my goodness, look what's happened to these squirrels now. Cyril and Bruce, they had taken a fall. They were paying the price for wanting it all. They'd squandered their chances to team up and share. Would their naughty young hopes simply end in despair? Oh dear, they didn't work together and now neither of them have it. They didn't manage to share. Bruised and bedraggled, they swept past dry land. Cyril grabbed a branch with a trembling hand. I think these squirrels are a little bit frightened now. Catching Bruce with the other hand, he heaved and he huffed, and he dragged him to safety with puffing, panting and puffs. They stared at the sky, quite lost in deep thought, till Bruce looked at Cyril and let out a snort. "How silly we are," he proclaimed, all a jiggle. "How greedy I've been," spluttered Bruce with a giggle. "We shall change from today. May the squabbling cease. We should celebrate, seeing we're both in one piece." Oh, look, that's much better, isn't it? We've got some happy squirrels. They're giggling and laughing now. You're just happy they're all safe. From that day forward, they made a great pair. They would gather together and found they could share. That's much better, isn't it? If you can share with your friends. Yes, Cyril and Bruce, they knew in the end the best thing to do is share and laugh with your friend. And there, off the bird flies with their pine cone. But it's all right, because actually the squirrels now were friends and they had lots to share. It's a really good story, isn't it? All about sharing with our friends, or it might be sharing with somebody in your house, your family, if maybe your brothers or your sister or grown-ups in your house. I think it's a nice story. See you soon.